all my friends present, past and beyond, especially those who weren't with us too long. Life is the most precious thing you can lose. While you were here, the fun was never ending. Life a minute was only beginning. Captain Coleman Nichols, there's one for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, episode 4, Chris's Corner podcast, coming to you live Saturday night, DeSoto BMX under the big top here in DeSoto, Texas. Got my sidekick, as always, my co-host, Mr. Blaine Graham from Magnolia, Texas. Appreciate you being here. How you doing? We're doing awesome, man. We came up here to throw down some Pro-Am racing, some podcasting. We're doing good. Awesome. And got my newly crowned 16-year-old son, Blaine Allen, Rider X, always throwing down with us. What's up? I think that's about all we'll get from him. Hopefully we'll get lucky and get him to throw down some more. We've got a cool show coming to you tonight. We're definitely going to be talking about the BMX League that's going to be starting this next week. We got Ryan Hernandez. He's in town with his son, AJ Hernandez. And we're going to talk to him about the struggles of being a father in BMX. And you always see posts from this guy taking his son to the Worlds and just everything that he does. I mean, if there's a national, he's there. They're always in an airport. They're always flying. They're always doing everything. So I'm just really anxious to hear from a father and really get the breakdown other than just seeing him saying, hi, appreciate y'all being here. I want to hear what he's going through as a father. Supporting his son in BMX and all that they do, because he's definitely pretty prominent in BMX in their age group and everything that they do. So, and he's just a super great guy. Yeah, I really enjoy him.
I'm actually looking forward to that because I want to see how they do things. You know, it gives people perspective on, you know, maybe people learn something on how to travel better with bikes or stuff like that. So it'll be cool to talk to him.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to that tonight here at the track. Man, we've got Pro-Am going down. We got Vet Pro Byron Patterson looking for Billy Russell to show up. I don't know if he's working or not. He said he may have to, but if not, we got Byron Patterson, our Vet Pro. He can definitely make that happen for us. We have got double points racing tonight, tomorrow at Cowtown. They're having their double points race. My bride got these trophies that are the Dallas Skyline and the Fort Worth Skyline.
Those are cool.
So, like, race both tracks, put them together. It's just really cool the way it works out. I mean, if you can only do one, God bless you. We appreciate it. And you'll get one of them to hang up. It'll be the Dallas Skyline here from DeSoto BMX. But, I mean, it's just cool. It's going to be a cool weekend of racing. We got these Grands Opens, and it's just, they're completely free. You just get up there, get in a full rack, and kind of start getting the mental aspect of, you know, what's going to be going down.
What are we at right now? 54 days? It's got to be either 53 or 54.
Yeah, it's 53 or 50. Pull that up real quick. Rider X. How many days till the Grands? That's Rider X's job. When you hear us talking about a certain subject, pull it up on your phone so you have the notes for us. Then you can correct us.
I will do that. We're digging right now on Rider X's phone. I can see it blinking in and out. He's scrolling fast.
And for Gold's Gym, a little rider, I cannot get enough of this little kid. He's always happy. He's always like, Chris, can I carry a flag? Can I help you out on the track? Can I have a broom? Can I have a shovel? Dude is always willing to throw down, and I absolutely love his dad too. That's Chris Graves, and the rider is Carter Graves. This is a phenomenal little human being. He's not just a BMXer. He's a good kid, and he's fun to talk to. A lot of fun to be around. always trying hard. I've seen him upset a couple times, over a loss here and there, but the dude has passion. And, it's what we were talking about last week when when I had brought up giving the rock plates out, all the emotion that we see with that, the kids that are smiling, crying, upset, yelling, high-fiving, or they're just PO'd. They get that way, and I love the passion. He's got a lot of passion for what he does, and he works really hard, and it's always cool. You haven't got the days yet?
I'm going to go with 54. 54 is what I think it is.
I'm going to split the difference and say 53 and a half. We'll just go with that. But that's what we got going on.
So before we get too far into BMX, you had some, we just were talking, you had some big moments in life stacked up, man, in the last couple weeks.
So we got 54 days.
54.
54. Way to interject there, brother.
Yeah, I know.
That was awesome.
That's what I do.
That's what Rider X does. He cuts you off in the corner.
Yep.
just get it.
Yes, we have definitely we've had a lot of life changes in the past few weeks in the Allen household, and I just couldn't be more proud and more excited. Man, my son turning 16 years old, got his driver's license this past week. He's driving now, turning into just a superhuman and a really good young guy. And I couldn't be more proud to be his dad. And our daughter, Britlin, who, when it comes to running a BMX track and having a full-time career, this track would not be what it is without Blaine that's sitting here with us and our daughter Britlin. Casey and I, yes, we work hard, we do a lot, we have our full-time careers, and we come here to the track 6 nights a week and bust our butts to make it happen along with all the other volunteers. But this place would not be a success in what it is without our 2 children, because they put in just as much work, if not more, than we have. And our daughter took the concession stand over. She ran that, and that is one of the hardest jobs here, is keeping people happy with food and drink, and she did that. But our daughter has worked her butt off. She's the captain of the color guard, plays tennis, and then she plays the oboe and band and all AP classes, all her high school career. And we got home last night. Her and Blaine were at their homecoming. It was Blaine's first one and Britlin's last one. So they had the game, and she was out there doing her color guard thing, and Casey and I didn't quite make it. We didn't get the track shut down in time, so we just went home, and we were going to hang out for a few minutes, and she comes running in the house, and oddly enough, I was like, okay, nobody's home, so I'm going to go in here, rip my shirt off, and just kind of chill out for a minute and soak in some quiet. But she comes running in there, and oh my gosh, and she had this big packet. We opened it up, and I'll be dang, our daughter has been accepted to Texas A&M University down in College Station, Texas. It's all she's talked about for 4 years, was getting a chance to go to A&M, and she busted her butt, did what she had to do, and man, our daughter's going to be in a College of Science down there with a major in biology, and man, she's doing it, and her dream has come true, and I could not be more proud as a father. And I know my bride, Casey, she went to UNT, got her bachelor's and her master's degree, and working on her PhD, and our daughter following in her footsteps, maybe at a different college, but definitely education-wise, because she did not get that from me. I guarantee you that, dude. I took the hard road.
You and me both.
The education is off the streets. But yeah, I just could not be more excited and more happy for my children and the opportunity coming that are coming in their lives. It's just, it opens so many doors for her to go be the young woman she wants to be, and get out from under our tether, and hey, it's time to live her life, and she's ready to go. So next May, she's out, and we're gonna move her down to College Station. I can't wait.
She'll be neighbors with us then.
Yep. She definitely will, and that's going to be a phenomenal chapter in our lives, and it's going to be a little hard to swallow when reality hits us in the face, and she's not actually sleeping in my home that night, but yeah, it was phenomenal and just cool, man, to see your kids succeed. There's nothing better. I don't care what it's in. If it's something they've worked on and they succeed at it, back them up. have their back, do what you got to do to support them in their dream, and it's definitely been worth all the hard work.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's pretty cool.
Well,
Ryder X is over here Snapchatting.
Sure am.
So let's talk about this. I was thumbing through Facebook this morning when I got up, and there was some huge news that dropped out of UCI. The regulations just came out, so let's talk about those. So from 2021 onwards, everything from 7 years old and under is gone.
everything. You are not competing in a UCI race if you're under 8 years old.
That's huge. I mean, think about all the kids that are that age that are at Worlds.
That's going to cut out a little over maybe a third of your racing.
So then on top of that, if you're 12 years old and under, no clips. So 8 to 12, you're running flat pedals, which, I mean, that sparked a huge debate. I was looking through the comment post, and
I'm almost scared to say anything because I don't really. Well, I do have an opinion. I've watched a lot of kids come in and out of this sport or go in and out of this sport, and the ones. Oh, no, not the. I shouldn't say it that way either. It seems that the majority of those who rush, and the moment that they're eligible, they jump on clips, and they're not ready. They're just not ready.
I think there's a skill that's developed on flat pedals, and you'll see a lot of the riders. What these younger kids don't see is they see the older kids at the track every weekend, and they're clipped in. What they don't see is the time during the week when a lot of those older kids are riding flats. I know Riley rides flats all week.
Yes.
He's not clipped in hardly at all.
Yep.
All of his sprint sessions and everything is on flat pedals.
Yep. Well, I mean, okay, let me throw this out. I know when Billy Russell comes out here, Shaylin Reno comes out here, Alec Bob, they all, when they start their evening off, they've got their clip pedals in their bag. They got their pedal wrench. They're in their Vans or whatever shoes they're riding, and they're out there warming up and kind of getting their fundamentals back in their head for that day on flats. It just seems that there's a lot of flat pedal work. You know, it's not just, oh, I'm on clips, I'm going to run out here and I'm going to even warm up in clips. So I don't know.
I think there's a lot of people who say in order to be competitive you need to be in clips. I don't know if I agree with that. I've seen Tyler Whitfield, one of the up and coming pros, younger kid, just out of college. His times I was reading are like 0.1 second difference to the 30-foot line on flats versus on clips.
Well, I almost want to here in just a couple minutes. I'm going to get. And I'm just curious. I want to go ahead and get Ryan Hernandez over here in a minute. And I kind of want him in on some of this and see what his perspective is. See if he's heard the news and what he thinks about it from his side. Because he ain't got to worry about it. I don't know. AJ is... No, he... 11?
Not sure how old he is. Yeah.
He's 11 or 12. But I'm really anxious to see what that does. And yeah, I've seen all the comments, but it'll just give it time to sink in, and it's not nothing that's going to happen tomorrow. You know, people have time.
The bigger news is no one knows what that means for USA BMX. Is USA BMX going to follow suit? Maybe, maybe not. You got to look at it from this perspective. They're throwing away a huge financial market if they don't let those kids race. I don't know why you'd want to do that.
Well, and the ones that are in 3 years, okay, so they're 5. The kids, well, anybody that is currently, I don't know, it's kind of smart putting it out that far, actually, because it's not going to affect really. Yeah, it is. I'm trying to pad this a little bit, but no, I mean, it's going to cause an issue. I'm glad I'm not on that side of it. I'm glad I wasn't on that committee. That's for dang sure. And
It's going to be a heated debate, and I think there's going to be a lot of people upset. Well, I already know there is. I've read the comments.
Yeah. And some of that, I'm willing to talk about and all that good stuff, but some of it I just want to keep my 2 cents out of, being just an operator. But man, hey, it goes both ways. I think there's advantages and disadvantages to everything, and I think it's your matter of perspective and whatever you think,
I think there's
the politics side
there
of
can
it.
be an argument made for each way.
Yes, a legitimate argument, not just a crazy one. Okay, we're gonna get Ryan Hernandez on here. All right, everybody, I would like to once again thank you for joining us here on the 4th, and I do mean 4th. That is Quattro episode of Chris's Corners podcast here live from DeSoto BMX under the Big Top here in DeSoto, Texas. We got double points racing going down this weekend, but it's brought in a lot of people that we see a lot on the regional and the national level, even the world's with what this guy's involved in with his son, and really good guy. He's always just willing to talk, got a smile on his face. His kids are racing beast, and that is AJ Hernandez, and his father Ryan Hernandez is sitting here with us, and we just want to have a conversation about what it's like being a dad in BMX, because I see you all over the country, all over the world. You're always, you got your kids back, you're supporting them, doing your thing, plus running a business called 2 Day Postcards. And, man, throw down.
Well, it's being a BMX dad, it's definitely something that's got its highs and lows, especially at the age he's at, 12 years old. He started when he was 5. You're as emotionally involved in it and financially involved in it, even more than he is. So, what I try to teach him and what I try to tell him is that this isn't free. It may be financially free to you, but just like in life, you got to work for it.
Absolutely.
And so, I think at a young age, he realized that the harder he worked behind the scenes, the better he was going to do out here on the track. And so I've just, been tickled watching him grow in the sport. And honestly, the best thing about the sport is the people. That's what drew us to the sport. We met a few people at some national races. I'm sure, you're familiar with the Woods.
Absolutely.
And from Oklahoma. Andy Woods, my best friend. Lynn Rao, one of my best friends. Lane Rao's dad, him and his son, and AJ race.
Great people.
Cannon races with AJ. So it's just, we become a big family.
Yes.
And this sport is one where it doesn't matter if my kid's racing your kid. If I see your kid in trouble, I'm going to go out there and help him out. Or if he's got a mechanical breakdown and he's racing my kid that moto, that's all right. I'm going to go, I'll fix it.
Dang right.
I'm not gonna let your son suffer for something like that. I mean, I don't care if my kid gets beat. I mean, I do care.
I know exactly what you mean.
But it's not about. We were at a clinic a couple days ago, and the guy said, has your parents ever got mad at you when they watch you go out there and you bust your ass and you give your all, and you get 5th? And the answer is no. If I see you out there racing and you have a hell of a lap and you get 5th, that's what it is.
It's the coolest 5th on the planet.
That's right. And you know what? And he can tell. He comes across the finish line. He knows before I do, or he knows before he sees me what kind of lap he did.
Yep.
And it's to the point now, we work out at home a lot, and because we're in Houston, we come up to DeSoto to get track time because we're underwater most of the time.
Swampy.
Yeah.
It's been swampy.
How are the mosquitoes down there?
About
bad.
the size of alligators.
We don't have that bad by us, but that is one cool thing about BMX is a kid can have a bad moto, and if he's good mentally and willing to let that moto go and erase it, there's always one a half an hour from now.
Right.
I mean,
And it's 45 seconds. I mean, we train, 5 days a week, 6 days a week sometimes. We travel countless hours. We've been all over the country. We travel. When we went to Baku this year for Worlds, we spent, I guess the single flight from Miami to Doha, Qatar, was 13 and a half, 14 hours on a plane.
Ugh.
For us to go race 2 days, 6 laps, 45 seconds, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
you know. So we traveled damn near 3 days there and back.
Yeah,
A
just
lot
a couple
can
minutes.
For a couple of minutes of racing.
Oh, a lot can happen in that. Man, that 40 seconds seems like an eternity when your kid's on the track.
Oh,
And
it does.
That's and I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought that up, because from my perspective, you know, yeah, my kids have been riding and racing forever, but we just haven't traveled like that.
Right.
We're just in a different situation. And when I think about that, and I see people like yourself that invest so much of their lives and emotion and time, and just, God, you put everything about you as a human into your children,
yeah.
and it's God, I don't even know the word for it. It's admirable, because I watch this, and it's a completely different path than I even know, but it's all for that 30 to 45 seconds. And
Well, it's
to
that-
watch that work all year long, because there's one goal, and from outside looking in from my side, and that is to make your main at the Grands.
That's right.
You make your main at the Grands, and to do that, it
Oh.
is 12 months. Oh my God, it's so many hours.
And not only that, at Grands, it's not so much even just, is your kid fast enough? It's luck. It's how do those motos fall?
Oh,
It's
exactly.
how does that semi fall? You can sometimes run into a semi that's a buzzsaw where you got, 8 kids that should be in, that you think should be in. They all could be in. I mean,
Yep.
like our class I looked at the other day is about 26 deep.
Oh.
So, you got your elite riders. You got Ronnie Ken, who's won worlds, 3 times.
Yeah.
Ben Nag won since he was 5'6". You know he's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You got a couple other kids from California. Those top 3 or 4 kids that they're just on a little bit higher level.
Yep.
But then you got 4 through 26 that you could shake up, throw down, and you never know who's going to be there.
Absolutely.
And that's where you look at it and you go, man, I hope that I get this moto. You always say the easy moto. Well, no, there's never an easy moto in semis or quarters or
Not
any
when
of
you
that.
get to that age.
No,
Nope.
no, and that level, especially at Grands, it's more manageable. You look at it and go, okay, I think we can do that. I think we're looking good. Oh, we're in this gate. Okay, I think that's going to work for us. All you got to do. I'm going to put that in quotes, parentheses, whatever.
I got you.
It's more than all you got to do. But mentally, you just go out there and run your race. Stop thinking about who you're with, and just go do it.
Run your lap.
Run your lap. That's it.
And
Perfect
it's
lap.
honestly, the thing with BMX is, all that you say, well, we're putting all the work for that 45 seconds, but it is truly one of those sports that you're really grooming your child for life.
I'm glad you said that, because
Yes.
it's not some, and that's one thing I tell everybody that's interested in the sport, and I say we have gotten so much out of BMX everywhere else in life. I mean, one of the proudest things about AJ, the most I'm proud about, he missed 23 days of school last year for traveling and whatever. AJ was in 6th grade, 8th grade math, dual language. He does since kindergarten. He's been half Spanish, half English all the way through school, and he's never made one B in his life. Not one.
Lord.
Wow.
Not one.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So
Man.
he just realizes putting in work makes life easier. Makes it life easier on the track. Makes life easier in school. Makes life easier at home. He damn sure don't want to hear me bitch. So, but we have a dynamic as well where I'm jumping his shit sometimes after a race, and he'll pop back off at me and put me in my place and say, hey,
Yeah. What are you
it-
doing?
right. And then I respect that, because we have the coach athlete dynamic.
Uh-oh. Go check on that. Okay.
Oh.
Good. Yeah, the
We have
coach
the
athlete dynamic.
athlete dynamic, and then the father son dynamic. So, after a moto, we're coach athlete for about 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 20, but then after that, the dust settles and it's back to father son. Hug it out, talk about it, apologize. Sometimes he apologizes to me, sometimes I apologize to him. It
Well, and
just
you're
depends.
sleeping under the same roof,
That's
too.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned, and maybe you can talk a little bit about this, but when my son first started, he would listen to everything I say, man. He would take it verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
And now, he won't listen to Dad. I basically go along for the dad role now.
Sometimes I hire coaches
Yep.
to tell him the same thing I tell him, but it's different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that guy
Absolutely.
knows what he's talking about. You're just my dad.
Yep.
You don't. You just raised me.
And that, that's like with Blaine out here. I'd be like, hey, because I will have listened to a coach like, Billy does clinics, Justin Dotson, Shaylin Reno, Alec Bob, and I hear what they say and I pay attention. I have to open the track, so I'm going to listen. And then he'll be out here riding. I'm like, well, hey, what if he's like, yo, bro, you don't ride a bike, you need to zip it. And
Don't tell Ryder X how to ride that bike.
Oh, yeah, Ryder
Well, see,
X.
I race though, from time to time, and so I've broken bones. I mean, this little scar right here is from Cajuns in 2013. 2012, I broke both my bones, one of my elbow at Cajuns, back-to-back years.
Dang, man,
Don't
stop going
race
to
it.
Cajun.
Yeah, don't race at Cajun.
I stopped that one. I just drink at that one from now on.
I don't blame you.
Hey, well, we drink and sing.
Exactly.
Right.
And can I interject?
Yeah.
What I want to say, that my boy went to we went to the Sooners in Cajun.
Yeah.
And he made at the Sooners, he made it past the first round. On Friday night, he made his main, and then on Saturday, he made the semis. I don't remember the laps, but what I do remember is him driving.
Yep.
When we were driving through the towns, being in the hotel lobbies, hanging out with my son and really good people, having a drink, playing guitar, singing, getting stupid. Those are the things that I remember from these races. And the racing is good and fun and fine, and it's great to watch all this big stuff. But it is literally the people you're going to know for the rest of your life.
And funny story about us, when you were playing guitar that night, AJ's mother, my other half, whatever you want to call her, she came up and tipped you.
Yes.
And the next day, she says, "Oh, that's the guy that plays the guitar. I tipped him last night." I said, "Yeah, that's Chris Allen, the track operator at DeSoto." She's like, "I just thought that was just a guy in the lobby playing a guitar."
That's cool, dude. Yeah, that's the only time I've ever been paid playing music. That was awesome. Your bride is cool.
Well, she
man.
works for tips, so she, well, let me clarify. She's a
Oh my
She's
God,
a
you're in
beverage
trouble.
director
I got you.
for a restaurant and bartender. So
I'm glad you set that straight.
Oh my God. Dude, I just broke out in a sweat when you said that. I was like, no. But dude, I mean, from being a track operator and seeing all the different parents that come in and out with their kids and that travel, you're in my opinion, you are one of the most dedicated fathers. I look up to you. I admire you for what you do, and I'm just so thankful to know that there's dads out there like you that support their kids the way that you do, and I just couldn't be more happy to know you. And when we were even
Don't
talking,
get me all choked up.
well, even no, seriously, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, because all I did was mention a pro-am. And I will never lose it. I keep all my text messaging from everybody, good or bad, and I do get cussed out sometimes. But the first thing you did, I got 100 towards. Hey Chris, I seen your business cards. If there's anything I can do, hey, send me that vector file. It's not just about you and your kid and your family. You take care of everybody, and it's not just something you say. It's your actions and what you do.
Yeah, well, it's I'm a firm believer in the more you give, the more you get. And even sometimes, I'm a business owner. We have highs and lows, and sometimes when it's low, I think, man, I got to stop giving. But you know what? I've always been giving, and it's always seemed to work out. So I know if I keep giving, I'm going to turn that corner, and something's coming back to me.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely. Well, also tell everybody what you do with 2-day postcards. Let's talk about that.
2-day postcards is my business. It started in '99. We started out just doing print runs of a lot of club flyers, and then we've just grown and grown and grown and grown to clients all over the country. We've done stuff for back in the day. We did NSYNC. We did our summer tour with stuff for them. We've designed rap artists' album covers in Houston. We do everything from ink on paper, postcards, brochures, business cards. We also do banners, large format stickers. We're open 24/7 online at www.2daypostcards.com, and we patronize those that patronize us.
Nice. Well,
So
I mean, we're
that's why we're
definitely, I don't want to ever just, whether it comes to a banner or
well,
whatever.
You've got a local guy here with Yo.
Yes,
and
Yo
so,
Thatch,
yeah,
A to Z
which,
signs.
hey, yeah.
But I still want to spread the love and give
yeah.
because in the end, man, I want to look at something when I'm done as an operator, because that day will come, 5 years or so, whenever. But
you're
when
going to know who did that for you, and you're going to know who
Exactly.
that did for you, and that's going to bring back a memory, and this is going to bring back a memory,
and everything has its own attitude
Right.
and its own feel and look, and I want everybody to have a hand in this, because it's not about one set of people or one person. It's about everybody that's ever come here and invested their heart and their life here.
But
and
that's BMX.
Yes.
You nailed it right there.
yes,
I mean, BMX is a emotional, physical, monetary investment.
yes.
I mean, it's not something you come out once and you leave. You come out and someone's going to touch you to make you come back.
Yep.
And I many people have touched me in the sport, and I hope I've done the same for them. And so that's why we're going to keep doing it.
And you have, my friend, and I just can't thank you enough for taking the time out of
thank
watching
you
your
for
son
having
to
me.
come hang out with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Hernandez, 2-day postcards. Check him out, www.2daypostcards.com. You'll find him at every national that's even remotely close to Texas. Guarantee you,
And then
Worlds
some.
and
Canada,
the Grands.
wherever
And
you
at
are.
the Grands,
Yeah.
listen, we're going to hook up. We're going to hang out in a hotel lobby.
Okay.
I'm bringing the guitar. I'm going to bring 2 guitars. And hopefully somebody else will just hold one, and let's get loud. And
Hey,
have it.
we're at the DoubleTree downtown Tulsa. We're there every year.
So are we.
You are.
Yes.
It's a
Oh, this is going to be fun.
they've got a great restaurant, bar, gathering area downstairs. It's a super nice hotel, quiet, kind of away. Not away. It's 6 minutes from the track.
Yeah.
But it's not filled with BMXers. There is always a cheerleader mom convention going on at the same time, which
Yes.
gets a little interesting
There was
on a
last year.
Saturday night at the bar. Just saying.
Well, I gotta see where I'm booked.
I'll be, yeah. Nope. No, but I'll be having a glass of scotch with you.
Absolutely.
And the guitar, and man, let's just do it. Let's throw down.
Hey,
Good luck to
pleasure,
you
Chris.
and your kid.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see y'all. Thank you for being here at
Hey,
DeSoto
thank you,
BMX,
Chris.
and
Always a
good
pleasure,
God, man.
See
This
you,
is
buddy.
just an awesome
All right.
human being right here, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Hernandez, Alpha Racing, 2-day postcards. Man, that was fun to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, he has the perspective of a guy who does it, man.
He's 2 feet away from me, and I could feel like just the passion and the love that he has. He got teary-eyed talking about his son. The moment he mentioned his son AJ,
Yep.
his eyes started swelling up, and that just gave me goosebumps. And God, that's what I love about it. That is the coolest thing. Okay, now we're going to talk to a young dude that I just absolutely love. I mentioned him a little bit ago. Gold's Gym Rider, Carter Graves. Get on up here, buddy.
Hello.
What's up, Carter?
How are you?
Very good. And yourself?
Pretty good.
Rock and roll. Listen, I don't want to say your name again. I want you to introduce yourself. Just talk about how old you are, where you're from, what class you're in, and then we're just going to ask you a few questions and learn a little bit about your awesome self.
All right. My name is Carter Graves. I'm at 12 years old.
Uh-oh.
He forgot there for a second, but he corrected. He did. You're good.
I'm 12X.
When'd you turn expert?
About a year or 2 ago.
Nice.
Where's your home track?
Central Texas BMX.
Nice. You live in Austin?
Yes.
Austin, Texas. Your dad's Chris Graves?
Yes.
And, man, you make this trip a lot, don't you?
Yes.
I always see you here at the track. So, what's going on in the life of Carter Graves right now?
Nothing really. Starting middle school. I don't know.
What's the last national you did?
I don't even know.
You don't remember the last national?
No.
All right. Hey, you don't need to. You know what that tells me? He's having a good time. He doesn't care where he's
Yeah.
at. He's on a BMX bike. I know you go to a lot of nationals. You go to a lot of state races and gold cups and all the qualifiers. Your dad always has you on the track somewhere at a race. Well, what coming up here in like 54 days is the biggest race of the year.
Yep.
I want to know, do you know, and it doesn't matter if you know or not, because you don't have to know, but let me ask you this. Do you know where you're sitting in the 12X in NAG?
No.
You don't?
No.
What are you wanting to do at the Grands?
When?
Oh, you just straight up win.
Yep.
Straight up. Just
You're
go
not
wait.
going for a nag plate. You're not doing it. You're looking to just win.
Yep.
Every moto, every round.
Yep.
Make your semis, mains, rock and roll.
So do you race class or do you race cruiser too?
I sometimes race cruiser.
I was gonna say I thought I've seen you on a cruiser bike before.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one? What's your favorite one? You like racing class or cruiser?
Class.
Let me ask you this: what's your favorite track?
DeSoto.
What? Don't tell Jason Crouch you said that.
They can't see. He has a gun on him right now.
I'm making him say it. Oh, I didn't mean to twist your arm that hard, brother. I hope your shoulder's okay. No, that's cool, man. You got an awesome track down there. You got the coolest starting hill in BMX, I think.
Yeah.
Down there, for 100% sure. Jason's working hard on that track too to make it better.
Yes.
Jason Crouch is one of the hardest working dudes in BMX.
Absolutely. So what do you're a Factory Goals Gym is your team.
Yes.
How long you been with them?
Ever since Louisiana's national.
Okay. So you hopped on with a factory team. I mean, at 12 years old, you're on a factory team. That tells you something about this kid.
A lot. He, we don't have a list sitting here in front of us of his wins and his places, but I tell you why he's a factory rider. Because every lap he has a smile on his face. If he doesn't, it's because he's upset with himself. It's never somebody else. He has a lot of heart, a lot of passion. He works his tail off, and he's just a good kid. That's why he's a factory rider for Gold's Gym, and he wins. So, the wins are there for dang sure. He shares that team with a lot of awesome riders, all the way from old pros to young cats. And the fact that he goes out there and has the attitude he does, the heck with wins. It's the attitude he has and the person he is. He could be a factory whatever rider. And Carter Graves deserves to be factory just with his attitude and his heart. What are you getting in that Grands Open tonight? Hey, get this though. You're 12.
Yeah.
In 2 years, you can start getting in pro-ams.
You'll be throwing down them pro-ams.
You get him standing next to Billy. I mean, hey, Billy could have a bad lap and you could get a check. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Anything can happen in BMX. Anything can happen in BMX.
So I'm really looking forward to it. I appreciate. You got anything you want to throw a shout out to your sponsors, your pops? The floor is yours, my friend.
All right, you got to tell us this. What's your favorite BMX moment that you can remember? Best one. The one that you lay in bed at night and you just replay that moment.
Whenever I made Worlds.
Okay, so when you made Worlds, hey, that's an awesome
big one.
Yeah, that's a big one for sure. Where was it at?
It was at Central Texas BMX for the
nice
qualifier.
Home track. Made Worlds at a home track.
Worlds qualifier. I remember being at that race. That was a good weekend. Actually, you know what? I was there the day after that. The day that they had the Worlds qualifying, Britland was down there, and my daughter actually made the Worlds that year. But yeah, that dude, y'all are. I don't know, man. I just really look up to all you little racers, and as much as you do, because your dad's not out there racing at you. Everywhere y'all go, you're the one that gets out, gets warmed up, gets on the track, does all the riding, the practicing, and the racing. So I don't know. I'm just real proud of you. I'm glad to know you. You're one of my favorite little dudes, and I hope you always like it when you're here at DeSoto BMX.
All right, thank you.
All right. That wraps up an awesome night of double point racing here at DeSoto BMX under the Big Top here in DeSoto, Texas. Blaine, that was some good racing tonight.
There was, man. That race with Ian Davis and AJ Hernandez.
And we had Ryan Hernandez on. He was talking about all the things he goes through emotionally. Dude, and then they go out there and throw down a race like that.
That was pretty cool to watch. They were both giving it their all. That last straight was intense for everybody. The whole
crazy.
Bleachers came off their seats.
Yeah, it was nuts. That was the funnest race tonight to call. 12X, that was fast. Mm-hmm. They weren't joking around.
Those two guys are both right there in nationals too.
And we interviewed Ian Davis
Yeah,
back on our first episode.
First episode.
He comes back to DeSoto BMX under the big top here in DeSoto, Texas. Throws down 12 expert win. AJ Hernandez, dude, he was only like dude, the width of a tire behind for pulling that back off.
Yep.
Man, we had a really good night tonight. It was really cool getting to talk to Ryan Hernandez.
Carter Graves?
Yes, Carter Graves. My brain wasn't working there for a second. After calling 40 motos, dude, and getting all jacked up emotionally, it's kind of hard to remember what's going on. Bradley Peterson, he's in the house from Austin, Central Texas, BMX rider. This dude likes to hug and kiss on me, dude. This is great.
Oh, here he comes. Here he comes.
Oh, my God. Listen. Oh, did you hear that? Mwah. Dude, he always kisses the beard. He respects it. I love it, man. That's a great human being. But yeah, I had an awesome day. Got to hang. I don't know that anybody wants to hear this, but I woke up this morning after fresh news of our daughter getting that A&M stuff. Woke up, got a haircut with my son, and we hung out at this place called it's the Gents Place. You go in, they give you a cup of coffee. I mean, if you drink or hey, if you want to do that, they'll give you a glass of top shelf scotch. Yeah, it's
For
cool,
free?
man. It's called the Gents. Yes, it's free. Yeah.
I wish I'd have known about a place like that when I was in college. I would
Dude.
have just went there.
Just every
I'd have got
day
a
got a
haircut
shave.
every day.
And this month is 50% off a full shave with a straight edge razor. No, seriously, dude, he put you in the chair. Well, he diced up Blaine's wig real good. And
This wig.
yeah, he diced that wig up. That's what Blaine calls it. He says, "I'm gonna go get my wig split." And I'm like, yes, I love it. But I kicked back in the chair and dude like trimmed up the beard. And I mean, it was great. They do a hot towel. They put on that little stuff, and I mean, you get like 45 minutes a person, and it's just a stupid experience. It's really cool to go out there, hang out with your kid.
Yeah.
We went and ate Waffle House and got all fat, and then we came to the track. I mean, it was just an awesome day, and then all this racing, cool people coming in. Y'all coming all the way up from Magnolia. I can't thank you enough. And you brought the whole family today, the bride, the daughter, the
We're
son.
all here. Yep. We didn't bring the dog. My daughter wanted to, but I said no.
Well, next time bring the dog, man. Get him on Chris's corner.
We don't want that madness.
What kind of dog you got?
I got two. I got a husky, and he's a big, I don't know, he's like a big teenager.
Yeah.
And then I got a little tiny terrier.
Hey, dude, we were walking by this place called Breadwinners this morning. It's right there by where we got our haircut. This guy had these two of them. They had blue eyes, but they were like charcoal, half-bred wolves. Dude, they were awesome.
Wow.
Wolves, like real wolves. And they were just laid down under their table. I mean, you wouldn't dare. I mean, these dogs were huge.
Flip a burger toward him?
Yeah, dude, they were the size of a Great Dane.
Wow.
Blaine was like, I want one. I'm like, no. I'll wake up with that thing chewing on my legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a great day, man. I mean, I'm exhausted, but getting to come back and sit down with you and wrap up this episode of Chris's Corner and racing. I mean, it just doesn't get. That's what we're doing, racing BMX and just enjoying all these cool people.
That's a blast to come up here. We'll be back up next weekend again for the UFC fight.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I'm so glad you brought that up. Belt series. Oh yes, that's awesome right there. That's our sound bed. that works right there. I think we found the culprit. He had his little key fob out.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yes, next Saturday, October 6th, let's talk a little UFC. I had talked to my buddy. He's possibly going to come out here. It was Alex Sakala, Joel Murphy. Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. I don't know how much UFC you watch.
I watch it quite a bit.
Dude, this fight is so ignorant that, I mean, one of two things are going to happen. Conor McGregor is going to walk out there. Khabib starts slow most of the time. Conor's going to go out there, left hand, boom, knock this cat out, get his belt back. If Khabib gets a hold of Conor, in my opinion, if he gets him and gets him on the ground unless Conor the past 2 years, other than the Mayweather fight, has been doing something, for that ground game. Because
No,
I mean,
he's in
Khabib's
trouble. If it goes to
26
the
and
ground,
0.
if he goes to the ground, he's in trouble, and he'll gas out. I think. I don't think his fitness has ever been as good as. I mean, he just seems like he can't go that full distance.
Yeah,
But
he never had to.
no, he's always just tried to take care of
He's
it
got
right
that
away.
big anvil in his left hand, dude, and he whops that thing harder than anybody. And I mean, pound for pound, got the hardest hit. I was watching this show at the UFC Institute where he was in there kicking and hitting bags, and they were measuring the force. It's through the roof. This dude, Conor McGregor, and I'm a Conor McGregor freak, dude. I don't want to say a man crush, but that dude he's awesome. I love some Conor McGregor in there. Did you see the press conference?
I did.
Oh my goodness, that dude was off the hook.
I think he's the first fighter that I've ever seen bring his own whiskey to
Proper.
a press conference.
Now listen, I have no thought in the world that Conor McGregor would ever hear this. But if Conor McGregor hears this, dude, I could use a bottle of Proper. I don't drink that much, but I'd have to drink some of Conor McGregor's whiskey, that pure, true Irish whiskey. And my goodness, dude, that's like my dream. People want to, they got rock stars they want to meet and all this other stuff. And some people don't want to meet their idol, or not their idols, but the people, their whatever in their brain, because they're afraid they're going to be let down. With Conor McGregor, I bet a dime to a donut that dude is exact what you see on TV. That is exactly what you get in real life. So I don't think you could be let down. I think he is what he is.
I would just laugh. I would just pull my phone out and record everything he says and just laugh.
Oh, I would. Oh my goodness, dude! Meeting Conor McGregor would be phenomenal. I wouldn't smart off to the guy though.
I don't think I would either.
He'd knock me in my beard smooth. He'd hit me so hard my beard wouldn't be gray no more.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good fight.
But if you want to throw down right, I'll bet you $5 that Conor knocks him out.
Oh, I'll take that. $5.
There. We're shaking on her as we speak. Yes. Okay. So we got a bet on the fight. Conor McGregor will knock out Khabib Nurmagomedov in the first round.
Ooh.
It's going to be a first round knockout because and I hope. Because if it goes to the second round, that means Khabib has got to start. He only needs a few minutes to get warmed up. He's just slow in that first 3.5, 4 minute mark. If they get through 5 minutes and go in the second round, it could spell trouble. But Conor's going to knock him out first round. It's going to be a first round knockout. But It's going to be here at DeSoto BMX. Hey, when you're hearing this podcast, come out to DeSoto BMX next Saturday. We're going to race an hour early. So sign-ups will be 5:30. Let's see, 6:30 to 7:30 sign-ups is normal. So we'll do 5:30 to 6:30 sign-ups. Race at 7. And then, boom, as soon as we get done with the belt races, we're going to have the Mr. Smothers is going to have the big 13-foot projector screen. And
What time's the
Jennifer
fight start?
and Darren Burmeyer. Dude, they like the prelims and stuff. We'll have it on the whole night over there, like the prelims and everything. But I think the main card starts at 9 or 9:30. So we'll get through the races, and then it's like the top 3 fights is really what you want to see. I mean, there's that fight card is stacked. But Khabib and Conor, go Conor McGregor, going for the Irish guy. He's really. I think he's gonna knock out Khabib.
I think he can win. I'm not going with a knockout, but I think he can win.
Really?
I just don't see it.
Well, when do you think it's going to end? How do you think it's going to go down?
I think it's going to go probably deep. I think it's going to go deep, and he's going to have to see how much fitness he has.
Uh-oh. The one thing I really like listening to is the guy that always breaks down fights. I don't know if you listen to it or not, but Joe Rogan. The Joe Rogan Experience. His show, dude, I love listening to that guy.
I listen to him all the time when I'm going through airports and stuff. That's like my main thing that I listen to.
Joe Rogan, he's just so, I don't know, organic. You know, he says what he's thinking. He just, and dude, how cool of a job is that? You got your Joe Rogan experience. You know, of course, he was on X Factor and all that other crap, but he gets to get on his show. He gets to go to all these UFC fights. He gets to call the biggest fights on the planet and then go do a radio show.
I had no idea. I used to watch Joe Rogan back when he was on news radio. Remember that? When he was just coming on as a comedian. He was on a TV sitcom called News Radio.
I never seen that.
Yeah. And he was like the custodian, I think, or something. He was like the goofy guy on the show all the time.
Huh.
That's probably early 2000s. But
Really?
I had no idea that he is a legitimate fighter.
Dude, he will kick your head smooth off your shoulders. That dude, he is a legit, been training forever. Joe Rogan, I actually called in. He had a show going one night, and I was working overnights. And he was on this show with, I can't remember, it's so long ago, probably 10, 15 years ago. And he was doing the show, and I called in, and I can't even remember the guy that I asked if he would fight. But because I was so shocked that I actually got through, and I talked to Joe Rogan. I mean, I got goosebumps and everything. I was like, "Oh my God, it's Joe Rogan!" I was like, "Hey, would you ever fight so and so?" I can't remember who it was. And he was like, "No," because he's a legit fighter and really trains. He's jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and all that. He's another guy that they had on a deal. It may have been on YouTube or something, but he was kicking the bag. The dude is insane strong.
Yeah, he used to compete in a lot of stuff, and that's when I really started listening to his podcast is when I found that out.
Yeah, he's no joke, and he knows what he's talking about. He's been in this stuff 30 years or whatever. But yeah, I probably won't ever reach that or anywhere, you know, in that universe. But yeah, Joe Rogan, and you know, there's a lot of guys that are out there. You know, Chael Sonnen, he does a show that you can look up on Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff. And I just love listening to those guys. And a lot of people don't like him, but one of my most favorite, since we're talking, I'm sorry, I'm going to get off on the UFC thing for a minute. But Michael Bisping.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I love Michael Bisping, man. He's a cool cat.
I used to like him a little bit, but then I don't know. He just kept running his mouth, and then
That's awesome.
I just kind of started saying, I wish someone would put him in his place.
Well,
but there ain't too many people that's tough enough to do it.
Well, I mean, George Rush came back and beat him. You know, I kind of hated that for him. But I was glad to see George Rush come out and prove that he is legit, like the best ever.
I found out that fight was going on 10 minutes before it happened. We were downtown Minneapolis, and we literally ran from the hotel over to the nearest bar to watch that fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know that UFC has caused not a lot of problems in my marriage, but financial discussions. Because I simply, ever since DVRs have existed, and UFC's had pay-per-views, I have never missed one. I just don't miss the UFC. I order every single one of them. I remember Dana White had hair, you know, in the beginning. And he was a lot smaller than he is. But, yeah, dude, that fight game, it's just so honest. You have when you get in that cage, you have to be, like, real with yourself. And what I was going to say earlier, I've already talked to him once. He a buddy of mine, real good friend of mine whom I love and respect is Mr. Billy Hayes. He invited, if you're out of Midland and Odessa, by West Texas BMX or anything, you need a vehicle, you need anything done, holler at Billy Hayes at Texas Certified Motors. This dude, they came out to the track and just regular people. I got to tell this story real quick. So we have this family show up to the track that none of them have any gear, nothing. They never knew about BMX, and they came out to the track. His bride, Summer, said, "Hey, let's go to DeSoto BMX." So Billy and his bride showed up, and they had William, Calvin, and John. And he goes by John the Joker Hayes now. So they come out to the track, and they got this beautiful new little baby in a car carrier, and then their three boys. And they go over to Mr. Larry Munson at Hot Wheels Express, and Billy's like, "Well, we don't know what's going on, and we want to get into BMX." So he buys 3 helmets for his boys, 3 jerseys, 3 pants, 3 sets of gloves, socks, shoes, everything, and then and he has them all put it on. And this was the coolest thing ever. Makes them put all the stuff on, and then goes, "Hey, where can I get some bikes?" They didn't even own bikes, and he geared them out from head to toe like legit. And it was like, "Hey, where do we get a BMX bike?" And I'm like, "Dude, I love you. You're awesome. Like, I mean, you're straight up gonna commit to this, and like no joke." So he got them all bikes, and here's the cool thing. Never been on the track. No of the three boys, none of them. Shows up the very next practice night. He went out and bought 4 bikes, one for each boy, and then donated one to the track.
Wow.
They had never even done anything out here. And he gives a bike. He says, I would like to give a bike to the track also, since we get to be a part of this. So wow. I just, like, emotionally, I was like, this is the type of dude I want to know. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of heart. He don't know us from Adam. And shows up and doesn't even know about the sport or the family ship and the what goes on in BMX, and donated a bike to the track. And I'm like, this is why I'm an operator. This is what I want to be around. But anyway, so we built our relationship, and just a great family, awesome kids, and he kind of told me what he does, and he's always in Midland and Odessa. He's got like 6 or 7 really big car dealerships out there, Texas Certified Motors. Then he goes, "Hey, I would like to send you and your bride I got some tickets. Y'all go to a Dallas Mavericks game." So he sent us to a Dallas Mavericks game. And then he said, "Well, that was you and your bride. I want you and your son to come with me somewhere." And this is where it all changed. We went to the Bomb Factory for an LFA fight. And he sponsors some fighters. There's Fortis MMA, which Coach Safe, he runs that. He's the head coach there. I believe there's some Dallas Mavericks and maybe I think it's a Dallas Maverick basketball player that actually owns it or is part owner in it. And he introduced me to this cat named Damon Jackson. Fights in the LFA. He's a welterweight. And no, not a welterweight, featherweight. And he takes us to this fight, and Damon Jackson, this guy he introduced us to, just flat demolished this cat. And I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Well, then next thing I know, he's like, "Hey, we can meet these fighters." So they all come up to his suite that he has up there, and this is Billy's. You know, he's big into the fight. He loves fighting. And he's his main sponsor, making sure that he gets to go and fight and have a career. He introduces us to Damon Jackson, which is also he's a fighter, a realtor, he's a woodworker. He builds stuff at home, builds all the furniture and restores. He's just a really cool dude, and he was so sweet and nice. But he was an animal in the cage. He's fought in the UFC a couple times, and he went to went back to the LFA. He fights here at all their main cards. We watched him on like two, I think it was 3 fights, and then he fought for the title. This cat flat went out there, boom, knocked this dude out super quick, and won the belt.
Wow.
And what I'm going to try to do, I've already talked, they were going on vacation after his championship win, and I called him up, and he's like, "Man, I'd love to come out there and be on your podcast."
Oh,
so
that'd be
what
awesome.
I'm thinking is we have our belt races next Saturday, and what I'll do is I'll call Damon this week and get him to come out to the track. We'll video this next one that we do. We'll have Damon Jackson here. He'll bring his championship belt. We'll talk. We'll have belt races. We'll have him hand out the belts, and then we'll watch UFC together.
Oh, how cool would that be?
And you can meet a legit, like, because LFA is literally like right there under the UFC. Like, there's so many guys from the UFC fighting the LFA to kind of get their bearings back if they've had an injury or they're coming back. Or the UFC says, "Hey, go down to the LFA, fight, and get back in tune and let's go." I'm not no MMA expert by no means, and I'm not trying to speak on behalf of the LFA or the UFC. That's just kind of the perception that I get from it.
Well, that's kind of what I understood too, because I just happened to be last week. I was in Tampa, and I was getting a flight back home, and I had to go through Charlotte. I missed my connecting flight and had to get a hotel in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So I went down to the bar. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm just trying to kill some time. I've got to get up in the morning again. But I went down there, and there was a guy wearing a jiu-jitsu shirt. It was some gym. I can't remember the gym it was. And I asked him, I'm like, okay, so you must be a fighter, huh? And we got talking, sitting there at the bar, and we talked Conor McGregor, we talked Khabib, we talked the whole night, and he was saying that that's kind of how it is. These guys that get their shot in the UFC come up from, I believe he said it was the LFA. I can't remember for sure, but and then he said it's all just how good you're doing down there, and then you get your shot to come up and fight the big boys.
And I'm actually looking right now. It is man, I can't remember the cat's name. Super nice guy when we went down there. Oh, and that was the cool thing about the LFA is it's big. It's live on Access TV when they do it. And when we were there, Blaine went up where the fighters come out, and he was standing down there. Every single fighter acknowledged every single one of those kids that were there to shake their hand and be like, "Oh, cool. You're going in the ring." And they were literally after the fights. They came up, gave kids hugs, and were like, "Hey, what's your name?" And, they were actually cared and interacted. It wasn't just like, "Oh, yeah, hey, what's up?" No, they like spent time with him. Stephen Ocho Peterson. He's another bad cat. He fought at UFC Fight Night in Austin, a few months ago. He was at the first fight we went to, and he really hung out with Blaine and just sat there and talked to him for a few minutes. They're super good people. They're legit family guys. They're fighting, putting their lives on the line just, to feed their kids. And I guess maybe they have a crazy streak in them because they'll sit there and take a smack on the mouth. But, yeah, I'm just super excited to have the UFC fight here and the Mr. Smothers and the Burmeyers for making that be able to happen here at DeSoto
man.
BMX.
We're gonna come up. We're getting a hotel right down the road. It'll be fun. We're going to hang out.
But and before we sign off and say goodbye, the fight, other than these two, Khabib and McGregor, the one that's probably going to happen in January. I don't know if you watched anything with Dana White lately. John Jones is coming back.
I did see that.
He would only fight in one of two classes, light heavyweight or heavyweight. Mm-hmm. But guess what? His arch nemesis, his rival, his kryptonite, or not his kryptonite, it would be Daniel Cormier's kryptonite, is John Jones. The only dude to really beat to beat Daniel Cormier is John Jones. And John Jones is going to fight in one of two classes, and the dude that happens to hold the belt in both of those classes is Daniel Cormier. Mm-hmm. He's a champ also, just like McGregor. And yeah, dude, if Cormier and John Jones throw down in January or February, that's going to be legit, and it's going to be big here.
That'll be awesome.
Because we're going to have that. All the big ones we're going to have. Jennifer Burmeyer. She always brings out her projector, sets it up, lets us watch the fight, so we really appreciate her and her husband. Darren Burmeyer announced the second round of racing tonight. He's coming into his own, always anxious to run the gate, get on the microphone. And it's nice to have somebody that wants to step up and announce and kind of get change of voice and what's going on.
Yeah, he did well, too.
He did, dude. I remember the first night he did it, it was just real, he did better than I did my first. I actually the first time I ever announced, Gary Elmore was still the track operator. It was years and years ago. You had Harold, he was the announcer, and Gary Whittington. His son is Colin Whittington. Colin Whittington was one of the fastest kids on this planet for a long time. And Gary was the backup announcer, and Harold was our main announcer. Well, I begged and pleaded. I was like, "Hey, give me a microphone. They're like, "No, we got this." And one night, dude, I got my shot. I was so bad, they took the mic from me. They're like, "No, you are not announcing." Like, dude, you're going to run people out of here. And I was like, "Yeah, am I that bad?" And, but yeah, they jerked the mic out of my hand and told me I couldn't do it. And it was, I'm trying to think. It was either Gary Elmore or Gary Whittington. They stepped in. They're like, "No, we got this, bro." And then finally one night, Harold and Gary couldn't be here, so I kind of got lucky.
You had to, yeah. You had to step up when it counted.
Darren did way better than that his first time, but yeah, he's came into his own, and I think he's got, at some point he might end up the head announcer out here at DeSoto BMX, and I'm happy for that. That's awesome. New people, new family, new faces, new voices. That's what it's all about. Grow people and letting other people grow and do what they want to do. Because I was given the opportunity, and I say we give it to somebody else also.
Yeah, I mean, he did good. How many times has he done it? I
would say he's probably maybe 15 times, 20 times total.
He's done it a few times. Yeah, he did pretty good.
I can't wait to hear him get his opportunity in like a big race. That'll be cool. Yeah, a state race, a big qualifier, state qualifier or something, or the state championship next year.
Who do you think the best BMX announcer is?
Okay. Okay, we're going to extend this out a little bit. I can't believe you asked that. Well, see, there's a bunch that I like, and a bunch that actually, every single one of them I like, and every single one of them I respect because of their craft. The one that sticks out in my mind that I will never forget as long as I live is the first time that I came out to this track with my bride. It was a Super National, and there was a dude named Jim Riley. I came around and I heard this as we pull up in the parking lot. I heard it going off on the speakers. I had never been to a race, and I came out here with Casey, and it was a Super National. And I walk over here by the concession stand, and I hear this dude out there, moto number 15, blah blah blah, just so pimpish, and it was Jim Riley. And I immediately said to Casey, I want to be just like that guy. Like, he has got a voice. Like, I mean, I put Jim Riley, his voice. I put his voice up there with Casey Kasem, all the like golden voices. Do you remember Jim Riley?
I don't think I ever heard him. I've heard quite a few of them, and there's some of them that I've sat through that honestly I was kind of like, it almost got awkward at times.
Yeah.
But then there was some like that. Probably the one that sticks out in my head that was he just has all sorts of sayings, and the way he announces, he could be announcing an open race that was a boat ride, and he would have everyone like standing on the edge of their seats going, whoa, like he was just so into it. And that was Kevin Riedemann from Rum River BMX.
Yes,
he was phenomenal, and I've heard he does some at Grands too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's always funny. He's always like, someone would get a good gate and he'd say he's got more pulls than a pulled pork sandwich. Just stuff like that was just like, I mean, it's pretty funny.
But hey, that's what people want to hear. You know, that's what it takes. You know, I consider myself more of a fill-in, you know, a type announcer. I enjoy it. I love it. I just feel sometimes I get real monotone and it's not that cool. But I mean, Grindle, dude, I listen to every single national, and Grindle throws down and just, I mean, he's and Chris Luna made it very clear. Hey, come up here for a minute. Come up here.
So he does a phenomenal job. And you want to talk about under pressure when they're running gates as fast as they do at nationals?
Get up here for a second. Let's take 2 minutes.
So I was up at St. Cloud National this year. He was standing by the finish line announcing, and you heard something happen, but you weren't quite sure what it was. He got smoked off his feet. Like, this guy just cleaned him out totally, and he didn't skip a beat on the mic. You wouldn't even have known it unless you've seen it.
Dude, he's flawless. He is flawless. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got a special guest here. Somebody I'm fortunate enough to get to be around every single night of my life for the past 19 years. Been married 18. We're going on 19. USA BMX Hall of Famer, my partner in crime, my co-host to my children, Mrs. Casey Allen. What's up?
Hi, everybody.
You're on Chris's corner. You're always on my corner. Got my back and all that good stuff. What's going on in the life of Casey Allen?
Well,
this is awkward.
Where do you want her to start?
Yeah, interview my own bride.
well, we have 2 children.
I can't lie to her. She didn't call me out.
No,
What's up?
your beard gives it away.
My beard gives it away.
Well, we have 2 kids. Blaine just turned 16 and got a new truck.
Yes.
And then Britlin is a senior in high school, and she just got accepted to Texas A&M, so we're super excited about that. She's going to be leaving us, so.
We were talking about that earlier. You guys went through some life-changing experiences in the last few weeks.
Oh my gosh, in the last few weeks it's been crazy. All the first for our children, so it's been great.
I'm fortunate enough to be able to stand back and watch the process, so I learn from it.
Well, Blaine got a perfect score on his driving test, which hopefully says a lot about his person that did his class with him.
As long as there's no garbage cans around.
Hey,
There's
you might have
garbage
done
can around.
the computer classes. I taught him how to drive. He drove my truck every day.
I've
He
seen
did.
him on Facebook Live.
He
There's
did. Yep.
Chris Wyckoff came up with some name. I wish I could remember what it was. I was doing a Facebook Live from the truck, and he had this nifty little name for Chris's corridor or something like that. I don't know what it was. He said it was really neat, and I wish we would have picked up on it. But yeah, Blaine was a chauffeur for the past 2 years. Even when he didn't have his permit, I had him driving. But yeah, well, listen, what I want to ask you real quick, being the BMX Hall of Famer you are, outside of last year's Grands, you're racing this year. So
The goal is to stay on 2 wheels.
the goal is to stay on 2 wheels. Are you Rider X going to win the Grands? What do you really plan on going out there and winning the Grands this year?
You know, I do not ever practice. I race the
She
Super
says
Nationals.
that, but I swear I seen her out jumping tabletops
I did.
2 weeks ago. Not
I-
even
I
2
was.
weeks ago.
I get out there about once a month and try to ride around the track and just try to, play with the novices and tell them I'm going to beat them, and they don't believe me, and then, I let them win. So it's super fun just to be out here with the new kids, and that's what I want is all the novice intermediate kids to stick around and stay out here and love the sport. for
She's literally
as long
talking
as I
about
do.
BMX and scratching my back at the same time. This is awesome. The mosquitoes are horrible out here.
I mean, the Grands is coming up, and what's super cool is I raced the Grands when I was 6 years old. So I've seen it evolve and change and grow, and so many kids and families that their fathers, mothers race, and 2-3 generations are coming back and bringing their grandkids and great-grandkids out to the sport, and that's what I want.
You still get nervous on the gate?
Yeah. Everybody does. I think the nervous part of it is I'm so used to them just running the gate and they're not calling your name out when you get up there, and then they are filming you and all of that, and it's just nerve-wracking.
So for a racer, do you get more nervous racing yourself or watching your kids race?
I think racing myself. I know how it is, so I think in other sporting events I get nervous for them. Like when Blaine was doing motocross, I was super nervous because I've never raced motocross, so I did not know I don't know what to expect. But being a BMX racer, I know how it is, so I'm not as nervous watching them. I think for me now, at my age, I'm just trying to stay up and make it to work on Monday.
That's a good plan.
So that's the goal.
What's the one main memory you have in BMX race-wise? What's the one that just sticks out in your brain, and you're like, when you lay in bed at night and you're going to sleep and you're
Exactly,
thinking about BMX when you're next to this stud?
It's gotta be hard to think about BMX at a time like that.
What memory, for real, honest to God, when you think back over your BMX career, when you were a baby and your dad, my awesome father-in-law Greg, was taking you all over the country, what's the one thing you remember that just gives you goosebumps to think about?
I was at a national in Minnesota.
Sweet.
Okay, and we went up there to race a national, and I was maybe 14 or 15 years old, and my dad was standing beside lane 8. I had lane 8, and he was screaming at me to go, get out of that gate. And back then, you could move over all the way to lane 1 before you got to the first jump.
There was no 30-foot
There
rule.
was no 30-foot rule, so you could come over as fast as you could, and that was my goal. And we were in a horse, arena, and so
I think I know where you were at.
and so the dirt was super like moist and kind of like jumpy, if you know what I'm saying. Like when you walked on it,
You could feel it
you
move.
could feel it, and so the track wasn't all that great, but I came over, but the other girl was there, and she came over this way, and we crashed, and I got the biggest goose egg on my knee that I've ever had, and it was like a size of a baseball. And I remember my dad saying, well, you know, you should have got out faster. You should have got out before she did. And so my goal the next time was to beat her, and I beat her on Sunday. But I think my best memories are my dad just yelling at me and telling me to go and pedal fast, and then him getting out there and trying it, and him breaking his ankle.
One of my best memories, my dad breaking his ankle.
So I think it's all about, you know, your parents supporting you, but not pushing you too much that you hate the sport. Because that can happen, and I see it happen all the time with parents. They get too into it, and they push their kids too much, and I want my kids to love it. It's just like tonight, Blaine didn't want to race. I'm not going to push him to race if he doesn't want to, because I want him to be here, and I want him to love it and push himself when he wants to.
But what's the biggest win you remember?
The biggest win was I was racing 17 to 20 cruiser at the Grands, and my sister was racing 14 girls, and my sister had gone out there and won her class moto, and I was so hyped up from her win. I mean, everybody in the stands was going crazy, and then I went out there and won 17 to 20 girls cruiser, and so we came home with 2 Grands first place
you
trophies.
won the whole thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that's my baby.
and so my dad had to figure out how to get 2 Grands first place trophies in
That's
a
a lot of-
Chevrolet pickup.
That's a lot of disassembling.
Yeah,
Was it that green one?
Yeah,
The
he
green
did.
truck?
Yeah, he disassembled 2 big, huge trophies to stick in the back, and that was the best win I think I've ever had.
Yeah,
Who-
winning the Grands would be a big one.
Who was your, like, I don't want to say you didn't get along with them, but who was like your arch nemesis? Like when you went and you knew she was going to be there, who was that one girl that you were like, oh, I'm going to get her?
I don't know. I mean, like, I raced so many different people, like Cindy Davis, who was national #1 girl back in the day, Darcy Cobb. She was an older rider, but I raced her in cruiser. I mean, back racing locally, Teresa Bowen, I raced her. She had red hair. Consequently, our kids have red hair now, but raced her locally. But, you know, we didn't have a lot of girl racers back then. I mean, I raced the guys most of the time. That's how I got better, was racing against the guys. And what's super cool is there's a lot of guys who come out here and they'll say, well, Casey taught me to jump.
Nice.
Well, I mean, you
Which
raced,
is true.
you raced back with Zach Roebuck, Jason Carnes, A.A. Zabinik, Brandon Taylor, Leland, Chris Luna, Tony Lopez, Rusty Dial, and Justin Wheat, and so forth and so forth.
I grew up with all those guys.
So that's awesome. Well, listen, thank you for taking a couple minutes to talk to us. I'll have you back on. I gotta actually had written down some stuff I wanted to talk to you about on Chris's Corner on the podcast.
I prefer to stay at the scoring table and in the booth. I
got one more question. We're going to open up a can of worms. here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on the USA or the UCI rules that just dropped out?
I got something to tell you about that.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Oh, Lord.
Because I was one of the first girls to be on clips. My sister was one of the very first girls, if not the first, to be on clips in BMX racing.
As a whole, right?
As a whole. Like, very first one ever.
Okay.
And I raced flats. That's how I got better. That's how I learned to jump. That's how I had all the skill. If I learned how to do it on flats for 17 years, for a long time, and then switched over to clips. And so I didn't know any different. But I feel like riders back then had so much more skill than they do today, because we start riders off at clips when they turn intermediate, and they could be 5 intermediate and be on clips.
And they don't get that.
And they don't
that
get
pedal
the skill.
stroke.
They don't get the pedal stroke. They don't get the skill level that they need, and they don't get the control of the bicycle like they need to become a better rider and a better racer.
How about the 8 years old and under classes going
Not
on?
going away. all for like worlds and national number one riders to be those riders that are in their pinnacle, that are the older classes. I mean, if you are a national rider or a world rider at the age of 8, what do you have to look up to later on?
Yeah, you've already
reached that level, and I totally want those kids to be able to reach the highest level they can. But I think on the world stage or Olympic stage or UCI stage, they need to earn that when you're in those top ages. That's just how I personally feel. Back then, we didn't have the Olympics when I was growing up, when I was at the pinnacle of where I was. All I could get was national number one, but I never had the rider count in order to get national number one. Like, we didn't have enough racers in my age. And so you'd always have a younger kid getting it, but they never have anything else to look forward to. You know, you've already reached it. So I don't know if I agree with the 13 and up for clips, but USA BMX will probably take their lead and probably do something close, but I don't know exactly what their plan will be, because we have a lot of riders that have been on clips since 5 years old.
Right. Now they're going to have to go back to...
And now they're going to have to go back to flats.
Well, 2021, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what UCI says, but USA BMX could change rules in 2019. Yeah, they can put those out there. It was just a part of our track operator.
It's going to be interesting and keep things stirred up, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and most of the time, what I think might not be the best, you know, but I do think for the sport, people say if you take away clips, it's going to shoo people away. But guess what? Their rider will be a better racer in the end.
Uh-oh. That's coming from Texas BMX Hall of Famer Casey Allen. And hey, that is what it is.
Well, it's like I was saying, you know, I think most of the kids, and this is just my perspective, but I think most of the kids, these little guys on clips, show up to the track and they see the pros on clips. They see these 17 to 20 experts on clips, so they think that's what they have to do. But what they don't see is a lot of riders don't run clips all week.
No, they don't. And that's the thing. But a lot of the riders that ride, a lot of the kids that do ride, don't understand that you have to train, that you have to learn to get that pedal stroke. And they, on all these older riders and all these riders that are at the pinnacle of their careers, are on flats most of the time.
What I think a good litmus test for that is if you, and this is just something that I've tried, if you think your kid has a good pedal stroke,
put them on flats.
Put them on flats or put them on a set of rollers.
Yeah.
And see if they can sprint the same speed on rollers without hopping. Because that's almost impossible to do unless you have a very smooth and consistent stroke.
It'd be interesting to put your kid in clips and race, and then put your kid on flats and see how long it takes them to get back to where they were at clips. You know what I mean? And they're going to have so much more skill.
Last week when we were up here, Cameron and Riley ran flats.
I saw that.
I couldn't tell they were on flats, to be honest with you.
No,
yeah, but they're both riders who have the skill and have abilities. How long has Riley been on clips?
Well, he's only been racing for 4 years now, so
Yeah.
he's been on clips for 2.
Okay, but he was 13. So that's kind of the age that UCI is saying needs to switch over. So I think it's a good thing. You know, I don't know if they'll stick with that age or not, but most of the time USA BMX pushes forward with UCI rules.
Yeah,
or
it'd be
tries
interesting to
to.
see. We should call him up.
Oh, hey, we'll
See
get
if they
Chris
want
on the
to.
line. We'll get Chris or Brad Halen or somebody.
Well, they discussed it in our track operator little thing, and you know they said we're waiting to see what they say, kind of. You know.
I don't know. It's going to definitely be interesting.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, that was Casey, Janae, Har, Allen, Texas BMX Hall of Famer, my lovely bride. I love you, and I'll see you at the house here in just a little bit. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for joining us on the 4th episode of Chris's Corner podcast. We got a lot more interesting stuff coming up. Next week we'll be doing this again. And we're going to be talking a whole lot of UFC. Hopefully, we'll have Damon Jackson. If we don't have him in person, we'll have him on the phone. But I would bet that he would be more than happy to come out to the track and hang out and say hello to these kids. He's an athlete, and I think if anything's in sport and it has to do with kids, he's all about it. And I know that for a fact after being around him. And oh, dude, a sponsor that I talked to for him was huge on his fight shorts on the last fight on TV.
Oh, really?
I lined that sponsor out. That's my only claim to fame.
There you go.
I got him one sponsor. Hey,
take it.
It is what it is. But, man, hey, appreciate everybody coming out to the 4th episode. You, Mr. Blaine Graham, co-host, and awesome Ryder X, thank you for stopping in and, saying hello to us and throwing down. Also, next week, we're going to have Jacelyn Reno on the show. So get ready for that. We're going to be talking to her about her new career in high school. What's going on with that? She's a jackrabbit now. So we're going to talk. We're alma mater. We got stuff in common now. I was a Bowie jackrabbit also. So at one point I went to school there at Bowie, Texas. So she's going to high school there. So, hey, we really look forward to seeing everybody next week. Be safe. God bless you. And, Blaine, the one thing that we always need to be sure that we're pushing, when you're out there and you see somebody down, you lift them up and give somebody a hug. It'll make you a better person. God bless you, and peace out.
Yes, sir.